George Zimmerman refused to go on the stand.
He was smart.
Yeah. He
Good
chose
choice.
not to. So the defense has rested their case in the Trayvon Martin case. And it's kind of thrown everybody for a little loop here because people are kind of worried that everything didn't fully get out. And Trayvon's side was not really, what's the word? Not represented. I was going to say exposed, but that's not. Represented correctly.
A lot of people are complaining about that.
Well, I think everybody's giving the prosecutors a really hard time. And I think they had a hard case, and they did the best they could with what they had. And
I mean, yeah,
it's
'cause
left
it's not
to
like
6 women
Trayvon's
to
here
decide.
it's not like there was somebody there to actually speak on it
Yeah.
besides that. But I do say, I mean, go ahead. Why do you think it? I understand why it's smart for him not to speak, but in your guys' eyes, doesn't that kind of make him look a little more guilty?
Not to me.
No?
No. Because
Honestly, not to me. I would actually want to hear him, though. I really would want to hear what he has to say about it. You know what I mean? He's the major player in this. The other major player's dead. So I want to hear what he has to say. You know, it agitates me actually that he doesn't want to talk. He needs to say something.
I don't want to hear anything else he has to say, but it would have been nice to have him cross-examined because we've
Yes.
already heard him recap it multiple times in many different ways, whether it was through his interview, through the whole walkthrough he did with the police on video that they got to see, through all the recordings we heard
So
of
then
him
why
giving
do
a
you think he
statement.
didn't?
Because he probably cannot withstand, it would not be a great idea to withstand the cross-examination. I think they could poke some holes in it and
Oh,
get
for
him,
sure.
and that's the whole point.
They
But
could get him.
that's
He's scared of that.
no,
Yeah.
most defense attorneys are going to advise you not to testify if the case seems pretty solid
Yeah.
in your favor, and
Yeah.
it's pretty solid in his favor.
And see now they're talking about, we talked about this earlier, but they're talking about the riots and all of that stuff. That's the potential of happening if he's acquitted. And I don't want a riot to happen, but I think it could potentially happen. I mean,
It's just like, okay, the riot happens, and why? What does that prove?
It doesn't. I'm not
What
saying
does
That's kind of
do?
the point, yeah.
it doesn't prove anything per se, but I don't know. It's just, I'm not saying it's right, but I just feel like it's just such an injustice if he does not go to
But
jail.
okay, now legally, if you were a part of the jury and you can't think with your heart, you have to think with the facts that are given because that's the country that we are here in.
I hear you.
Where do you think these 6 jurors are going to go?
I think he's going to get acquitted. Honestly.
I mean, I have to agree. I listened to the case for almost all of it actually, because I watched CNN like a junkie, and I've heard as much as I had access to, and I just don't see, based on what they've described in terms of what you need to find a guilty verdict, I don't think it exists. And I think it's sad because I think he deserves to be punished.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily totally agree that it's racial profiling entirely or he's a racist, so to speak. I don't actually think he's a racist. I think he's got prejudices just like a lot of us have that
I agree.
nobody wants to freaking admit to, and something awful happened because of those prejudices.
Yes, I agree.
So, I mean, it would be awesome if he had just walked up and I can't believe I did this, and did a couple years in jail just because you still killed somebody.
I mean, in today's trial, they were still showing photos of Trayvon with his shirt off. They were trying to prove some points about that, about how he's a gangster lifestyle because of the shirt being off and
It's just
all that kind of
absurd.
stuff. The picture that they're painting about him, I guess excuse my language, but it pisses me off more because there's so many young kids who are like him now.
Yes.
So I feel like if George Zimmerman gets off, that's ammunition to look at all these young kids who are the same way and to profile them in that format. And we've been talking about profiling for the last few weeks, and I'm tired of this damn profiling as it is. So it's just going to give more ammunition to profile those kids because, they have this in their phone, or they have their hats to the back, or they wear hoodies. It's stupid.
And it's frustrating too, though, that in the case they aren't allowed to label it racial profiling. They're only allowed to say he was profiled. And I'm like, at some point, will we just freaking admit it? That when you see a tall black, not even tall, a large black man in the dark looking semi what we consider hood like he's got a hoodie on, or he doesn't look, his clothes are a little bit baggier than whatever, people think something.
Yeah.
And some of those reasons why they think those things are legitimate. Some of them are not.
Right.
And if we would just like get to that place where we can stop pretending like it's not true, we would maybe go somewhere. But that's Florida is going to be an unhappy place.
There's going to be what scares me about that, and I hope, like I said, I hope that there is no riots if it goes in George Zimmerman's favor. But the problem is because if that happens, it sets us back.
Well, and also, I mean, it kind of, you know, if court cases, they always go back to previous court cases. So and one big comment that they've been saying about this situation is, what if the roles were reversed?
Right.
Yeah.
So now moving forward, if the role is reversed and someone was to do something out of the context because of this trial and was to take it to court, it's almost like, well, wait, why did George Zimmerman get off on it? Or
Yeah.
I don't know. It's that's a mess. I would not want to be that judge. I would not
I
want to
wouldn't
be
wanna be
those
those
jurors. I would not want to be the prosecutor. I
Well,
would not wanna
even
be-
the jurors, like their selection process with that, I have a problem with. I mean, to me, it's not a it's obviously not a diverse camp of jurors. I get why they feel like they need to do this, but I don't know. I just think overall there's a lot of flaws in this case, just
We're humans.
general.
Our justice system is flawed.